Judge Arthur Caldwell was a man carved from courthouse granite. His face was a mask of judicial impartiality, etched with lines of discipline and authority. For 2 decades, he had presided over the 8th District Court, his gavel falling with a finality that echoed through the hallowed halls of justice. He was known for his sharp mind and his even sharper tongue, dissecting legal arguments with the precision of a surgeon. Lawyers, both seasoned and green, straightened their ties and cleared their throats a little louder when they entered courtroom 4B. Caldwell demanded respect. He commanded it, and for the most part, he received it without question. His reputation was spotless, a monument to integrity in a system often mired in compromise. Today was no different. The case before him was a high-stakes corporate espionage trial, Triton Corp versus Omnigen. Millions of dollars hung in the balance, and the media was camped outside like vultures. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Caldwell sat elevated, a black-robed deity observing the mortals squabble below. He listened intently, his eyes missing nothing. He cut off a rambling attorney with a curt, "Get to the point, counselor." He sustained an objection with a bored wave of his hand. He was the picture of control, the unwavering fulcrum on which the scales of justice balanced. No one would dare to think that behind that stoic expression, a secret was festering, a lie so profound it threatened to bring the entire temple crashing down. The lead counsel for Omnigen was a young, ambitious attorney named Maya Reyes. She was brilliant but outmatched. The next morning, the unease followed Maya Reyes back to the courthouse. She arrived early, hoping a quiet review of her notes would settle her nerves. Empty corridors, a dim hum of floor polishers. Passing the clerk's office, she overheard 2 senior bailiffs whispering. They stopped when they saw her, guarded faces. A conversation cut short, suspicion deepened. Later, during recess, she went to the courthouse cafeteria. She grabbed a stale coffee and took a corner table. Nearby, paralegals in low conversation. She heard a name, Caldwell. She heard the old Omnigen building. They spoke in hushed, conspiratorial tones. Over trays and chatter, Maya listened harder. They were talking about a fire, officially ruled an accident, blamed on a faulty wire in an old storage facility. But the paralegals treated it like dark local folklore. Maya started connecting dots, half-formed and urgent. A respected judge, a high-stakes corporate case, whispers of a fire at a litigant's old facility. It felt like paranoia, but she couldn't let it go. She chose to dig. She requested the Omnigen storage fire file. Waiting, the risk hit her hard. The clerk returned and dropped a thick, dusty file on the counter.
"Here you go," he sighed. "The Omnigen fire. Closed case."
But Maya knew. Everything to see was right here. Maybe she had been chasing ghosts. She was about to close the folder when a small, sealed evidence envelope tucked into a back pocket caught her eye. The file was thick with brittle, yellowed paper. Police reports, witness statements, fire marshal assessments. It all read as the clerk had said. A closed case, an unfortunate accident. Maya's heart sank. Maybe she had been chasing ghosts. She was about to close the folder when a small sealed evidence envelope tucked into a back pocket caught her eye. It was labeled Scene Photographs. Miscellaneous. Her fingers trembled slightly as she broke the seal. Inside were a dozen glossy 4x6 photos of the fire's aftermath. Charred shelves, melted filing cabinets, smoke-stained walls. Standard procedure. Nothing incriminating. She flipped through them one by one, her initial hope fading with each image of destruction. Then she stopped. The last photograph was different. It wasn't of the building's interior. It was taken from across the street, capturing the chaos of the scene at night. Firefighters battled the blaze, police cars blocked the road. A small crowd of onlookers watched from a safe distance. Her eyes scanned the faces in the crowd, illuminated by the flashing emergency lights. And then she saw him, a younger man, partially obscured by a utility pole. His face was turned toward the burning building, and on it was not the shock or curiosity of a bystander, but an expression of intense, cold observation. Maya's breath hitched. She brought the photograph closer. The man was younger, his hair darker, his face leaner, but there was no mistaking him. The set of his jaw, the shape of his eyes, the stern line of his mouth. Returning to the courtroom felt like walking into a lion's den with a stake tied around her neck. The photograph felt heavy in her briefcase, like, a radioactive artifact. Judge Caldwell was back on the bench, his expression as unreadable as ever. But now, Maya saw him differently. She saw the younger man in the crowd, watching the flames. Every ruling he made, every question he asked. Was his impartiality a sham? Was this entire trial a performance, its conclusion already written years ago in smoke and ash? The pressure was immense. She was now engaged in 2 trials, the one against Triton Corp, a silent, dangerous one against the judge himself. The ethical dilemma was a razor's edge. What could she do? Confronting Caldwell directly would be professional suicide. The photograph, while damning, wasn't definitive proof of wrongdoing. He could claim he was simply a curious bystander. Filing a motion for his recusal based on this evidence would expose her hand, likely get her thrown off the case, even disbarred for making such a scandalous accusation. Yet, continuing the trial as if she knew nothing felt like a betrayal of her client and her own principles. Every moment she remained silent, she was complicit in the potential corruption unfolding before her. Maya decided on a high-risk strategy. She couldn't use the photograph directly, but she could use the information it represented. During her cross-examination of Triton Corp's CEO, she began to subtly shift her line of questioning. The tension in courtroom 4B became unbearable. For 2 days, Maya danced on the edge, her questions circling the past without ever naming it. Judge Caldwell allowed it, his face a grim, stony mask. He was trapped. To stop her would look like he had something to hide. To let her continue risked exposing everything. The lawyers, the jury, the press. Everyone in the room could feel the shift. The case was no longer just about Triton Corp and Omnigen. The twist came not from Maya, but from the jury foreman. On the final day, just before closing arguments, the foreman sent a note to the judge. Caldwell read it, and all the color drained from his face. He looked out at the courtroom, his eyes landing on Maya, then on the jury box. His composure, so meticulously maintained for decades, finally shattered. He cleared his throat, his voice trembling for the first time.
The jury has a question.
They wish to know if I, Judge Arthur Caldwell, ever worked for the founder of Triton Corp's private security firm prior to becoming an attorney. The courtroom erupted. The secret wasn't just that Caldwell was at the fire. The secret was that he had been hired to be there. Before law school, he worked as a private investigator, a fixer. Triton's founder had hired him to ensure the Omnigen records, which contained evidence of Triton's own patent theft, were destroyed in the accidental fire. The founder of Triton had held this over Caldwell's head for his entire career, ensuring favorable treatment. The jury foreman, a retired private investigator himself, had recognized Caldwell's face from an old industry photo.